Morning. I know I stand between yourself and lunch, so it's a very difficult spot. I'll try to be brief and in terms of messages. What we do since 2011, we, together with Mind the Bridge, we have created a platform for young people, for entrepreneurs, based in New York, and we do basically three programs. One is the scholarship, which is called Fulbright BEST. BEST is an acronym for Business Exchange and Student Training, where we have for graduates, so PhDs, engineers, and economists under 35 years of age with an innovative idea. This is a scholarship that is done with the Department of State in the US, so the US Embassy in Italy, Invitalia, and ourselves. We select them. We allow them to study for 2 months entrepreneurship at Santa Clara University. Then with support of Mind the Bridge and our general counsel in San Francisco, we match each individual with a startup in Silicon Valley. So they actually work there for 6 months. We repatriate them because everybody enters the US with a J1 visa. And when they're back, we mentor them for 6 months and we help them to launch their own enterprise. We sent 60 kids over the last 5 years, and they have created 26 enterprises. This year, we also had the incredible support of Radio Dimensione Suono. For the non-Italian, Radio Dimensione Suono is one of the most successful radio stations whose target is exactly young people. And this year we had 200 applications. Regione Campania, in particular, is starting to sponsor scholarship. We got 13 candidates from Regione Campania. So it's a platform where we think we can start sending in 2015, 2016 about 300-400 young people every year. The sponsors are large corporations, they start to see in this process an innovation spot, and of course the regions, because they can use the European Social Fund. Now, the second step, which I think I've been hearing all the different colleagues from all over Europe, and here is something that, with Marco we've been working, and that's what we're doing these days. The second step is whatever startup you create in Italy, you should forget the name startup, because startup has now become like a new social a bumper to absorb unemployment. Forget startup. You have to focus on exit. You have to make money. You have to make money for yourself and for the investor. We don't talk enough about that. Now, leaving aside what I think, if you think the best example has been Israel. Israel, when decided to do it 20 years ago, they didn't decide to go to London, which was easier. Probably it was a 3.5-hour flight. They went to the US. And US is, you have to be there for very simple reason. Number one, you got a huge market. And number two, you have the financial liquidity, IPO, instruments, etc. The majority of the companies listed on NASDAQ, it's from Israel, it's not from the US. So if you take that example, without reinventing the wheel, that's what we are proposing. So our second program that we do with Mind the Bridge is 3 times a year. We select the best Italian startups. Marco goes far beyond that. It also starting with Spain, etc. And we help them meeting US venture capitalists. And we explain to them over a 4-day period why they should locate. As we speak, we're finishing the round now in New York, where we had 8 startups from Italy. The first day, we helped them to shape their presentation. Then we had a meeting with the investor. And then the third and the fourth day, we brought them to see the working spaces and a meeting with the municipality of New York to understand the visa issue and where they could locate should they decide to open in the US. So that's the second step, which is very, very important. Unless you open in the US, you will not go through an exit. And the problem that I see 5 years down the road is that we're going to have a bunch of disappointed young people which have been working very hard, not making money. So that's the second program, and we do it twice in New York and one in San Francisco. In San Francisco, we do the Italian Innovation Day. We did it this year, was the beginning of, was March 1st. March 1st, we had our session in New York now. I'm going to have another one in November. Who do we invite? We invite startups that have, of course, a bit of traction and have already been invested by a fund. Because if you're asking for money from a US fund, they would say, if it's so good, why did you find money where you come from? So we help them to do that. Now in New York, we have had 3 of the 200. See, since 2011, we had 200 startups coming to New York in these programs, and 3 of them opened in the U.S., in New York, and they're doing fairly well. It's a very tough game because you compete against the rest of the world. So the message here is that now, I think, in Italy, we have a platform that allows, number one, through the best scholarship, to learn and practice how to do a startup in the best gymnasium there is in the world, which is Silicon Valley. And the second program is that once you're back, because what we want to do, and that's why we do this with the Department of State and in J1, we don't want to do a structured brain drain. We want Italy to be able to flourish in high tech. As you know, if you take the number of citation per research and development dollars, Italy ranks in the top 3. So starting from biotech, robotics, et cetera, down to telecommunication, we're second to none. So what we're providing now, it's a tool to make sure that whoever has an idea can create a startup. Once you've created a startup, you have to have a certain moment in time, the plan, a list to have the option in the US. Because I think the numbers would tell that in Italy, there is no exit. Is that right? So a good friend of mine, Harry Kissinger, once we were having a discussion about Italy, and we're discussing. And I was saying, you know, what were the hopes? And he said, you know, with his deep voice, said, my dear friend, if you start a discussion going beyond data, you enter into faith, and I am the wrong interlocutor. So I think we are in the same stage here in Italy. Data would tell you that on Italy, there is no exit. So I just want to be very frank, because otherwise I think we go in circles. There is a lot of money into this. Between defining that, you know, the Regione Campania, Trentino, the more I hear, the more public money into it. But I think you have to take these decisions early on in your career. I think that's it. And I wish you a good lunch. I'm available for lunch for any other information. Marco, thank you.